And there I was. I was the girl from Suits.
This One's Wife. Joke person. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. This One's Wife doesn't have a sense of humour, although entertainingly, she creates a lot of mirth for people. There are those who find her hugely aggravating. There are those that like her, and there are those that have little interest in her, and there are many now who have reached the point whereby they simply see her as a joke individual, a source of ridicule, a preposterous individual, so caught up in herself, so self-absorbed, that the things that she does appear to be satire, even when she's being serious. This One's Wife wants to be treated as a serious person. She wants to be taken seriously by people, because that assists her with regard to them demonstrating that they are under control and providing her with fuel. She wants to be seen as a serious player in relation to cookery, crafting, to being a bananatarian. She wants to be a serious player with regard to advocating for the rights of women and girls. She wants people to listen to her because her narcissism demands that she should be listened to, because if she's listened to, then the people who are listening are under control and are providing her with fuel and managing her facade. Accordingly, being treated seriously is of significant importance to this One's Wife. But like everything else that she attempts to do, she has failed at that also, as more and more people mock her. I've been doing so for quite some time alongside my analysis of her narcissism. There are other accounts that parody her behaviours, often with brilliant effect. We saw, for instance, how she was ridiculed by South Park, which proved very entertaining to many people around the world. And despite her attempts to appear relatable, to be likeable, to be taken seriously as a major player with regard to the creation of a brand appertaining to homeware and cooking and crafting, she's failed again, as these two examples that I'm going to share with you demonstrate. First of all, we hear from Ian Doherty, who writes in the Irish Independent. She's at it again. There's hardly a surprise, of course. She never seems to stop. On Monday, the delightful This One's Wife, or Sussex, as she rather bluntly reminded her Hollywood friend Mindy Kaling, was back doing another podcast with predictable results. As one newspaper breathlessly reported, This One's Wife broke down in tears as she read out a letter from her children while appearing in her first ever podcast interview. The Duchess of Sussex also appeared to have a go at the royal family by describing how she and Harry were in the trenches when they first started dating. Throughout the course of the interview with cosmetics CEO Jamie Kern-Lima, which had been hailed in some quarters as wide-ranging and openly raw and honest, the woman who thought she could become queen settled in to discuss her favourite topic, which, as you already know, is herself. So why am I writing about this guff? After all, there's a brutal war raging on European soil, a conflict that has the potential to drag reluctant European nations into the conflagration and could ultimately lead to the use of a nuclear weapon. That's not good. There's the small matter of the unpleasantness in the Middle East and Hamas's refusal to release hostages. That war has already divided Western societies in a way never seen in our lifetime and has led to an increase in anti-Semitism that is both shocking and depressing. And then, for good measure, we have Donald Trump and his demands to repatriate large US companies that are based in Ireland, a move that could easily spell economic disaster. Oh, and India and Pakistan look like they're about to take a cut off each other, while Chinese expansionism in the South China Sea continues to rattle their neighbours. So, wondering why anyone would bother writing about the vacuous This One's Wife in the face of so many genuine threats to world peace is perfectly legitimate. It's also a question that rather misses the point. The reason so many people are so very interested in the goings-on of the Monty Shit Show twosome is precisely because there are so many terrifyingly global developments. The perpetual whining of Harry and This One's Wife provides a slice of much-needed comic relief. Then, lest we forget, there's the hate watch element. People I have spoken to who know how American TV operates are insistent that Netflix is continuing to keep faith with the couple, not because they're popular, but for precisely the opposite reason. The executives have been landed with a double act who are so ghastly and self-absorbed that viewers tune in just to see how terrible they are willing to be. They're also a very modern morality tale. When this one's wife started dating Harry, everybody pretended they were a fan of Suits, even though hardly anybody had ever seen the late-night cable TV show. But they thought the addition of the so-called Markle Sparkle would make Harry happier, and the royal family would seem to be more relatable. Instead, it became clear we were destined for a non-stop grievance fest. As she complained that she wasn't going to become the Queen Bee, and Harry, admirable though his love for her obviously was too weak to tell her to cool it. Harry and this one's wife throwing tantrums and causing ructions will feel familiar to many of us. It's terrible when it happens within our own blood, but it's undeniably entertaining when it's somebody else's, and even better when all the dirty linen is being aired on television, tell-all documentaries, and a endless procession of podcasts that nobody listens to but secretly enjoys reading about. Whether it's staging photo ops during the Californian wildfires, telling tall tales about being involved in a high-speed chase by paparazzi in Manhattan, anyone who's ever commuted through Midtown knows a high-speed chase is impossible, or waffling on about the apparent joy of sprinkling rose petals on your food, this weird, strangely unlikable pair are providing a public service, giving the rest of us something to laugh at. Accordingly, Ian Doherty concludes, joke person, both her and Harry. And then up steps Hilary Rose, as you know, who regularly in the Times ridicules this one's wife. Big news from Planet Meg, she's still out there. In the past few days, we've seen HRH, as we know she likes to be called, welling up on YouTube about her children and telling us that she's not wearing makeup. Fascinating stuff. She's taken to posting tantalising pictures shot from behind of the children, whose privacy she guarded so fiercely that she could barely admit they'd been born. And on a podcast with her friend, she has feigned surprise about a letter written by her husband, about her children, in which they compliment her on her pancakes. Apparently, Harry gave it straight to the podcast host to surprise his wife live on air. Raise your hand if you think this one's wife is someone who likes surprises live on air. There is, in short, no end to the titbits now flowing from Planet Meg, where reality is too scared of her to bite. With hindsight, drawing a line in the sand might not have been a great way to launch this one's wife's ink. On New Year's Day, she danced across a breach for Instagram and wrote 2025 in the sand. Ever since, there has been a steady stream of interviews and podcasts, Instagram reels and TV programs trying to achieve, well, what exactly, apart from making money? She was sprinkling flowers over food on With Love, This One's Wife, a TV series of almost willful tedium. Now she's talking about her children and weeping prettily in public. She described the early months of her relationship with Harry as being spent in the trenches. And indeed, back in the day, she could occasionally be seen picking her way through the trenches of Kensington High Street, from Kensington Palace to Whole Foods. Some of us also remember that back then she seemed keen for the palace to release a statement confirming that she was Harry's girlfriend, which seems an odd choice for someone who wants to live a quiet life away from the front line. But there we are, I expect, as the former actress said to the High Court judge, that I've misremembered. The latest revelations came in an interview with one of her dear friends, Jamie Kern-Lima. You may wonder if this one's wife has friends who aren't useful, or billionaires, or even better, Oprah. Does she ever pal up with mums at the school gate? Probably not. In the beginning, I just liked making jam, she said. I was in so much fear of failure or opinion. She added, confiding that Kern-Lima planted a seed that became a knowing for me. Kern-Lima was once the happy recipient of some ice cream, along with a card embossed with the compliments of HRH the Duchess of Sussex, because nothing says I'm thinking of you like an embossed compliment slip. This one's wife has learned, we know now, to not be concerned about someone else's urgency or speculation's urgency becoming my urgency. Imagine if she ever gets stuff like that down on paper and sells it as a book. With typical candour, she has confirmed that, yes, maybe, for sure, she will write a memoir. But after the washing up liquid advert, what will she write? That the royals are beastly and Kate made her cry? Again? After 5 months of constant plugging, I'm still no nearer to understanding what the brand actually is, let alone what it's called. She recently said, I was in such an incubation stage in terms of ideation, so maybe she doesn't know either. It's baffling. Style with no substance. Noise, but no buzz. Yet the omens could not have been better. This one's wife had the world at her feet, hanging on her every word, but alas, she didn't have anything interesting to say. It's hard to make a living interviewing other people, as she does on her podcast, if you're not very interested in other people. This One's Wife Inc. is a mess. She talks gibberish on multiple platforms, flogs merch on social media, and gurns for likes. Is she boring us all the way to the bank? I doubt it. Oprah once told her to encapsulate your essence, but she's struggling to locate it. All that goodwill, all that air time. And she's flailing around on the road to irrelevance. No doubt there'll be another of those fake royal tours one day soon, but the further away they get from the royals, the weirder it will seem. What's the model? You saw the footage, you watched me dispense largesse, now buy my edible flowers? The magic word for brands is authentic, and money can't buy it. People will gawp at anyone for a bit if you jump up and down and shout loud enough. But if you stage a popularity contest with the royals, you're going to lose. In 5 years' time, people will still want to see Kate in a tiara at a state banquet, but This One's Wife in silk linen separates on safari, not so much. And Kate won't try to flog you jam on the side. Well, there you are. Two individuals from different newspapers forming the clear conclusion that This One's Wife is a joke person. That for all her desire of being treated seriously, she has failed, and failed, may I say, royally. This has been driven, of course, by the mediocre nature of her narcissism, as I have so expertly explained to you. And she still will not stop. She will still continue to behave in a way which invites ridicule, because the more that she's ridiculed, the more she will try and tell us that she's serious and proper and important, and the more she will just do something that makes her worthy of ridicule, confirming that she truly is a joke person. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.